Hey guys, Alex here with Cyber Echo. I wanted to take a moment before I start the video on SSLs to thank everyone who's viewed so far, and I really appreciate the support that everyone's been giving. And yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on into SSLs 101. So let me go ahead and pull up my information here. This will take just a sec. Okay, cool. So, um, again, because I know GoDaddy, we're just going to go through an SSL, what it is, and also why someone would want it for their business. As far as why you'd want it for your business, a couple of reasons nowadays, more so than what a lot of people, the way how it used to be, and what a lot of people think it is and was. Um, Now, back in the old days, a couple of years back, you only needed an SSL because you would want to go ahead and actual secure your information and your customers' information in transit. Now, effective, I believe it was January of 17 or 16, Google and other search engines are scanning websites. And for anyone who doesn't have an SSL on their site, if a customer goes through Google or any other means through a search engine to find your website, before they click on your website and it takes them to your site, it'll go ahead and throw a warning saying that the site is no longer or is not secure, so and that they can go ahead and proceed at their own risk. Now, that is going to drive away business quite a bit because of the simple fact that a lot of people are going to be worried, even if you have a site that has no interaction with its customers whatsoever. I can't really think of a business that doesn't off the top of my head, but um, if for some reason you did have one, you would still get that warning, and people who are not really well versed in the subject matter, they may go to your competitors. Um, so that's a big one, but security is one of them. Now let's talk about that for a moment. What kind of security am I talking about? It's not really going to protect anything against malware or hackers or anything like that. What this does is an SSL takes the information from your customer's computer in transit to your server, and it encrypts the information so that nobody can steal the information. So essentially, what it does is spreads out the information in this code, unreadable code, and then once it hits your server, puts it all back together so that your server and you can see the information. Now, what kind of SSLs are we going to be talking about today? I'm going to go over the big ones, primarily SSL certificates, the SANs, and the wildcard. Within that, we'll also talk about the extended validation and the organization validation. There's not too much of a difference between these. I'm not really going to go into the code signing just because that more or less has to do with your programming, um, maybe an app, stuff like that. So in my world, this isn't really too valid. And to be honest, the information that I know about it is the information that I can read off of the website, and maybe a little bit more than that, but really nothing too significant. And again, unless if you're going into app building and stuff like that, there's not too much of a reason to have that. Okay, so let's talk about the first one, just the standard SSL. So this is going to, as you can see, protect one website. Now that's not one website and all subdomains. Excuse me. This is just one simple site. It is relatively inexpensive, $55.99 a year. I believe that's if you buy multiple years, though. Let's double check. The way how GoDaddy operates is the more years you buy, the better the discount. And ignore the pricing here because that's something separate. And yes, that was for multiple years. Let me go ahead and log out of my account real quick and let's go back in. Cookies and cache, you gotta love them. Okay, let's try this way. Whoops. Okay, here we go. Okay, so yeah, $55.99, and I want to say it's $69.99 a year. Yeah, okay, so the standard, if you buy at least 2 years, is going to be $55.99, but the standard price is $69.99. So $70. That's pretty decent in order to go ahead and have that green symbol on there. It does encrypt your customer's information, so it is good to have. And then there are different levels within the standard SSL. You can go up to the deluxe, and the benefits of that is higher. The biggest um, benefit is going to be the insurance that you get off of it. Um, Now, when we talk about going to the premium, $1 million is pretty good. But my biggest advantage that I would speak to is going to be that green bar that people get right here. Yeah, it is kind of a feel-good thing, but at the same time, customers like to see that kind of stuff. They like to see the security and et cetera, et cetera. Now, as far as what it does, they all encrypt, so they all more or less will go ahead and do the same thing. It's just feel good, a little bit more in insurance, and this is what everyone basically should have. Uh, More so according to Google than anybody else. But I agree that security is for the better. Now, let's talk about the SANS, or UCC. It is essentially the same as the standard, but what this does that is different is this protects multiple websites. So let's say I always talk about my personal store here, which is cyberechostudios.com. But I also have cyberecho.org. Um, I bought a couple other domains for a couple other websites that I'm planning on putting up so that I don't have to buy individual license. As you can see, it's cheaper to buy one of these that supply up to, I believe, 5 websites. Let me double check that real quick. Yep, and you can even go more than that, but 5 is a standard. Okay, so then you get your choice of which one, how many you, not only how many, but you get your choice of which type. And then it'd be for the 1 year, it'd be basically $150. Now, for that, as you can see, you're saving by your third website money. And then essentially you're giving 2 others for free. Or it's not really for free when you look at it from a business perspective, but you're getting them um, all of them at a lower cost. And then the more years that you buy, the bigger the savings. Now, there's not too much that we need to go into this SSL because, again, it's more or less the same, just you're getting more of them. Setup on these are really easy. I'll go a little bit into that. Unfortunately, I don't have any open SSLs that I need right now. All of my sites that are being utilized are being protected. Um, so it's not really too much I can show, but I'll go over the process a little bit. Okay, now let's talk about Wildcard. This is the one that a lot of people ask me a lot of questions about. What does it mean? What does it do? Okay, so let's go back to the example of my store. And let's say I had, let's see here. So let's say I had cyberechostudios.com. Okay, this is my store. But let's say, and this is a gaming slash community or computer community kind of website. So let's say I wanted to go ahead and open up and do another store, but let's say instead of doing computers or gaming, let's say I wanted to do a hobby website, like building models and stuff like that. So I could create what's called a subdomain and do models.cyberechostudios.com. Okay, so then it would take someone to a completely different website, but the domain is still going to be cyberechostudios.com. Now for my store, that's not necessarily something that I would entertain, but just because I want something that has a overarching brand, like CyberEcho, for example. I have a company website, cyberecho.org, that's being built, but that's going to be a separate name. But I can have CyberEcho or store.cyberecho.org, and then I could have, let's say, I wanted to build a website specifically for company events. I could have events.cyberecho.org. All sorts of different things. What this certificate does is for this price protects all subdomains. Now, why do people use subdomains? That's kind of a different video, different topic, but to highlight on it a little bit, it's going to be you don't have to buy a new domain every time you make a subdomain. It comes included with the domain that you purchase. So I've seen some people have 500 different stores with one name. So that's why you would go ahead and do it. Process again is going to be, let's see here, you're going to have to pick between the two that you want. Okay, and then the price would be $300 for 1 year. Still, though, that is extremely cost beneficial if you're a person whose business needs a bunch of different subdomains. Because at that point it is unlimited. So it doesn't matter how many you have. So, now we talked about wildcards, SSLs, or wildcard SSLs, the UCC and SANS SSL, and standard SSLs. So now let's go back and let's talk about the validation SSLs. These are going to be for any type of SSL that we talked about. The big difference is going to be, one validates the type of business that you're it validates your organization. It shows that you are registered, you are recognized as a company, um, et cetera, et cetera. Now, shows business legitimate. Okay, so what that means is someone is going to actually go through your website and validate that you are a correct company. It is going to take a while to get this type of SSL because someone physically has to go through and approve your documentations, like business license, who you are. We GoDaddy has even asked for utility bills, things that actually physically show that you are a company and not just some scammer building a website and all that kind of stuff. So what happens is this sometimes can take up to 3 to 6 weeks, and I've seen it even go longer than that. So what happens is if you buy one of these, they will go ahead and issue you a standard SSL just to get it off the ground up and running. Um, and then when they go ahead and do that, um, then you just get issued your SSL, and then they'll automatically go ahead and change it over. So that is everything about SSLs when it comes to which one do you want to select. I don't necessarily look at, there was a section that says this is good for bloggers and this is good for business. If you only have one website, then, this is for you. If you have multiple, that's what it comes down to. A little bit, it's a planning ahead kind of game. If you are looking at buying one of these later on down the road, say a couple of months, you might want to skip buying this altogether because you are not going to get refunded for the time that you have on this or get built in. There are some questions that I've been asked that are kind of weird. Um, so those are the main things there. I talked earlier about how an SSL doesn't protect your website from malware and hacking and all that. Here's the thing. Nobody really likes to pay for something that they feel like they're not going to use. But this is a relatively low cost in order for you not to have any website hacking, PHP injections, malware in general. That's a pretty low cost. Now, some people don't really want to pay that, and I understand you got to start saving money somewhere. But if you don't put any protection on your site and free plugins on WordPress, I'm not even going to entertain that as an idea of security. But some people do. So yeah, you get a 12-hour response time if something goes wrong, which sometimes that's going to be worst case scenario. That's if your site is completely broke and horrible things are happening. I'll be honest with you, most of the time, in my personal experience, this does its job in about 30 minutes or less. Now, if you don't have anything on your site and you get hacked or you have a PHP injection um, and things are going bad, that's expensive. And the nice part about this is, even if you do have to go this route to get that 30-minute time frame, it also protects you for a year or so, I believe. Yeah, it's a year or whatever time amount of hours you want to, or excuse me, how many ever years you want to go based off of it. Um, that $300 is going to be if you didn't want to pay the, what would that be, $50 a year cost. And again, yes, I realize that that's per year and $50, but it's the cost of doing business. I mean, I've had many conversations about this with different business owners. Um, if you can't afford things like an SSL and and website security, at some point you need to ask, if is your business profitable, and should you stay in business? Because people who start off, yeah, no, I totally get that may be a lot of money to go ahead and sink into a maybe. But at the same time, you're building a reputation when you first start off. If you start off your reputation with no security, then that might affect your business in a very negative way. It may not, but there's a good enough chance that it can. I always tell people the nice part about WordPress is it is open source. The bad part is it's open source. So all those updates and things like that that people never click on, um, if you let your site go out of date, someone's going to be able to access the code, get around it, do their malicious intent, um, and then you can lose a lot. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I've gotten a little bit of emails and feedback, and I know that the channel is just starting. So I really appreciate the support that I've gotten. Even if you watch this video and don't like or subscribe, thank you for taking the time to watch the video, because I'm not really doing this for the money as much as I'm doing this because I want to help people. And if this helps just one person, I feel like that I've done my job and my due diligence. I appreciate if you guys like, subscribe, check out the store website. It is a partnership with Amazon, so the cool part is it helps me out just by you being redirected to Amazon. And again, I hope everybody finds this useful. Please comment down below if you have any advice or you need any type of guidance for other things. I'm going to keep making some videos on different subjects with GoDaddy products and just how they can help, um, and some other how-tos. Anyways, guys, thanks a lot. I hope you have a great day, and game on, guys.